What do you ideally want to be doing? And then from there, figure out, okay, how do I gather the information now to figure out what degree I should be getting in order to get this job? Because all of them, all the different degrees will have different career paths. Okay, so it's something you really want to think about before you apply to grad school. I always tell students when they're looking at any type of program, ask an administrator where students go to work after. Or do students not go to work after? Do students go get a PhD? If you see that a program, 80% of their master's students go to get a PhD and you don't want any part of that, maybe that's a sign that's not the right program for you. Okay? Alternatively, if you see that most of the students go to work afterwards and get jobs, but you really want to do a PhD, then maybe that program doesn't have enough of a research focus for you, and you have to shift gears. So your letters of recommendation. Your letters of recommendation really talk about your potential for graduate study. They can also help to balance a lower GPA or test score. When you apply to grad school, you're going to most likely have to have 3 letters of recommendation. Okay? 2 of those should be from academic professors, people who you've had in classes, you've done research with, and then the 3rd could be from a supervisor that you've had in an internship or a job. Okay? If you don't have that, then you can have a 3rd person be the professor. I always tell students, who do you ask for letters of recommendation? You want to ask people and professors who know you well, who can speak to your skills, can speak to your personality, can speak to your passion for the subject area. If you were in a class of 400 kids and you got an A in that class, is that person going to write you a good letter? Probably not. Okay? When to ask. So typically when you ask, you probably want to do it August or September before you apply of your senior year. When you're applying to a PhD program, they're looking for very specific subject matter expertise. And so those letters should be talking about your expertise specifically in that subject. They should be talking about the research, the exact research you've done, whether you've worked in a team, if you've published anything. They should convey your passion for the subject area. They should have an idea what you want to study when you get a PhD, okay, what problems you want to solve. And they can speak to any technical skills in your letter of recommendation. And ideally for PhD recommendations, they should have known you for at least a year. So it proves that they actually have spent time with you and gotten to know you, okay? What not to include, that's important too, right? Okay, so what not to include. You don't want to talk generically about a school and its prestige and its location. So I have a lot of students saying, I want to go to Stanford because it's the #1 school and it's in California and it's so sunny and I can enjoy the weather. It may seem obvious, but that's not something you want to put in your statement of purpose, okay? Anything, poor grammar, spelling, make sure you proofread it 100 times, have your friends look at it, check for grammatical stuff. Any negativity. So unless something is significant, like you were really sick in your freshman year and you just bombed your GPA. And if you do have something that's negative that you feel like it's significant enough to bring up, just spin it to a positive. So I did really bad my freshman year, but I was adjusting to school in the US, or my dad was really sick, but I really learned to persevere and use my time better, right? So flip any negatives into positives as best you can. The other thing is you want to make sure you give examples when you're talking about what you've learned. So a lot of times I'll read essays and they'll say, I'm so organized, or I'm so detail oriented, and then there's just no examples. So you need to have examples. So don't tell me you're good at programming. Tell me that you had to program for 5 hours and do 150 lines of code. Okay? So those details are really important.